Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing today? Well, today the price of your morning cup of coffee could be set for a jolt. I know. Believe me. I get it. All right. Every day when we sit down and we watch my videos or we go live on Friday nights, what's the one thing that we all do? We drink coffee, we eat chocolate, we converse, right? So, a once in a century drought in Brazil has walloped the world's largest coffee crop, pushing up wholesale prices to their highest level in years. The growing rate for prized Arabica coffee beans was almost $1.70 a U.S. Pound at one point this week. That's almost 60% higher than it was last summer. Abnormally dry conditions late in the growing season in Brazil are the main culprit, as Brazil typically produces about 1/3 of the world's supply of coffee beans. Rainfall in the agricultural region of Minas Gerais. I don't know if I said that correctly, so I will spell it out. And that's Minas and then Gerais, was the lowest on record in the summer months, which stretched from January to April in Brazil. That's normally when coffee plants soak up the moisture ahead of the drier winter months when they are harvested. But this year, the rains never came. It seems to have happened at a crucial time when the crops need to be absorbing moisture in order to flourish and blossom. And it just didn't happen in time, so the yields were severely impaired. It's hard to get a handle on just how small the crop will be, but experts in the field agree it's significant and enough to put world supply below demand for the first time in years. Part of the problem is that 2021 was always more likely to be a weaker than normal year for coffee. And that's because, like many tree crops, coffee operates on a 2-year cycle, where years of plenty tend to be followed by years where the plants produce less. But that's with any tree or any plant. Some years you have a wonderful harvest. One year you might get nothing. That's normal. They follow this pattern of what's known in the industry as biennial bearing. Now, 2020 was a bumper crop for coffee. And because that bearing was so heavy, a lot of farmers pruned back the branches of their coffee trees so that the tree could develop new healthy tissue to bear future crops. I do that. It's called pruning. You prune your trees. You have to, because otherwise you don't get new growth. The bumper crop last year looked even bigger than it would normally because of the pandemic, which uprooted the traditional supply and demand patterns for coffee. The world is slowly coming out of the shut-in and the pandemic, and that means consumption of coffee outside of the home is beginning to recover. Demand for outdoor coffee consumption was expected to recover, and just as this demand starts to recover, you're seeing this shortage of supply. Add it all up, and it's a recipe for record prices from farm to cup. Now, the founder and president of Propeller Coffee, an artisanal coffee roaster in Toronto, sources as much of his coffee as he can from independent farmers because he is a big believer in sustainability. So he's glad to see higher prices for them. But it's also challenging for him to sell the finished product without passing those costs on. Well, of course. It's great to see that price go up. It's just trying to absorb that in less than a year. He said it's tough. Well, of course it is. It's tough on him, on his pocket, but it's also going to be tough on us, the consumer, right? Like many retail-focused businesses when the pandemic hit, he said he lost about 80% of his customer base. Well, of course, because we had to focus on other things. Unless you're like me, or a lot of you. And our focus was coffee, because we can't go without, right? He has managed to slowly and steadily grow his e-commerce business, selling bags direct to customers. But he also has an increase of cost of just about everything else, like supplies, like filters, and his machines, and transportation cost. We haven't raised the prices as a company in 5 years, he says. We're continuing to do everything we can to keep our prices down, but this year we implemented a small 5% price rise on our retail, on the coffee. Now that 5% hike for the good stuff is nothing compared to what's happening with the cheaper mass-produced blends. The price of coffee at the grocery store is up by 17% since January. We've seen this. You guys have told me this. And not just that, you've also have shown me pictures of empty shelves. There's something going on, he said. Whatever food product is out there, manufacturers are charging more to grocers, and that will catch up with us eventually. It's not just tropical crops like coffee that are impacted either. No. Canadian staples such as wheat, canola, and barley are also seeing record prices right now because extreme heat in Western Canada has drastically impacted this year's crop yields. Just as is the case with those crops, experts who spoke to CBC News say climate change is playing a role with coffee too, which means drinkers should get used to jittery Java prices. Oh, Lord. On top of the drought that hurt this year's harvest, Brazilian farmers were also hit by previously unheard of frost, which is bad news for next year's crop. This drought is not a normal occurrence, but at the same time, the frost that just happened is the second time in 3 years that it has happened. It's possible that we're going to have to live with more extreme weather conditions, and if that's the case, when supply will vary, and when supply varies, inevitably prices are going to go up and they're going to go down. That means for coffee lovers, uncertainty will be the name of the game from now on. We're kind of up against the clock with climate change and other pressures. Now, you know what I'm going to say, right? Or do I even have to say it? Before it gets any worse, get your heinies out to the store and stock up on your coffee. I don't care if it's, already ground up or if you're getting whole bean, if you're getting K-cup, all right? Even throw in some instant. And even if you have to hit yourself below the belt and get that international powder crap. I mean, coffee right now, even after shit hits the fan, coffee is coffee. Listen. Leave the international for a barter item. That little, comes in a little tin can thing. Leave that for a barter item. Put that aside, you know? But stock up on the Sanka. Maybe throw in an Entenmann's in your car. I'm just saying. But stock up now. All right? As of right now, myself, I got about a good 6 months. But I'm going to still go out and get more only because I don't want to be paying these prices. So look for your sales. Even if it's on clearance, get it. If you have room in your freezer, put it in the freezer. You know what I mean? Repackage it. Mylar bags, oxygen absorber packs. It'll help it last longer. Pick up tea while you're there. We're going to have to, and I know, you're probably going to say, why did she just say that? I know how a lot of us are when it comes to certain brands, like, oh, I only drink Folgers, or oh, I only drink Maxwell House, or oh, I only drink this one. I would pick up maybe store brand if you can get it, okay? Another good one is the 5 o'clock coffee. That's a good one. What's the other good one? Peet's. It's Peets. Peet's. Peet's is a good one. What's my favorite, honestly, is Target brand. I know, but they literally have the best tasting coffee. So if you can get to a Target, go to Target, get their brand of coffee. When I tell you, it's literally, it's the best tasting coffee. It really is. From K-Cup to ground to whole bean, it's literally the best tasting coffee. And I can't complain. I really can't. And they have the best flavors. If you like flavored coffee, they have the best flavors. Honey blueberry. That's all I'm saying. It's amazing. And this is coming from an avid coffee drinker who just can't stop with drinking coffee. But anyway, all right. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay positive, keep prepping. And as always, fear less. Bye.